Okay, it worked. That's going to make this next part a lot easier. So we're almost finished with phase 1, but if I was to start building now, the mountain biomes would be about 15 blocks tall. And I'd like to shoot for at least 30 blocks, so I've got a bit of mining ahead of me. I started by removing as much sand, dirt, and gravel I could find, so it wouldn't get in my way while mining. Kind of like my cat just did. And then I got to mining, using some allays to help collect the blocks, but it quickly became clear that trying to keep the blocks was going to make this take way too long. So I ditched that idea and focused on mining as fast as I could. But even that wasn't enough. It was at this point where I started digging tunnels and filling them with TNT I made using gunpowder I got from my raid farm. And this is when I started seeing some real progress. With just a few layers left, I decided to go for one final massive explosion. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. Not even the nightmare I witnessed back on day 21.
Why are you jumping on the bed?
No, this was far worse. The goal of this phase is to place down all of the concrete and get everything ready to start building the biomes. To place down all the concrete, we must first obtain it. Now to convert it. That should be enough for now. Alright, time to place some blocks. And there we go. That's kind of trippy looking. So if you've watched one of my videos before, you know I like pain. And what's more painful than spending 3 hours placing a giant cylinder of white concrete? Spending a few more hours making that cylinder 2 blocks thick because I think it'll look better in the thumbnail. That wasn't so bad. For the floor, I placed 2 mini HUD holograms as a reference. The brown circle is where the Mushroom Island is going to be. And the blue one is where the ocean biomes are going to start. Now I just need to dig a trench for the oceans and coat everything in a layer of concrete. Filling in the rest should be easy since it's flat, but I want to set something up that will save me some time later. The mob switch I built earlier is great for temporarily removing mobs, but every time I quit the game, I have to fly 1,000 blocks to turn it back on. So to fix that, I want to build a mob switch right in the center of the biome so that the whole thing is mob-proof at all times. Okay, I've hollowed out the area under the end portal for the mob switch, and now I need to kidnap a few villagers and trap them here. So... I can take them through the nether. And right over here, into the mob switch room. Secure them, place down a ton of beds, swap the gray beds for pink beds because they're just better, and feed them so they can replicate. It appears I've made a cat farm. Okay, I'm gonna try my best not to kill them this time. Now I can proceed with the floor. Awesome, so everything within the walls is ready for phase 2, but I can't just leave the outside looking like that. It's gross. And after several hours filling in the water, removing the bumpers, adding sand to the bottom, and planting tons of kelp, it still looks pretty bad. But you can't see it from the inside anyway, so I can't be bothered. During that, I also worked on the mob switch a little, turning all the villagers into cartographers and locking in their trades by buying maps. So now, if I just get this guy... Nope. Alright, that's... exactly how I wanted that to go. And while that zombie is having the time of his life, I'll explain what exactly this contraption does. Since I traded with all the villagers, they can't despawn, even once they've been zombified and are counting towards the mob cap, which means the whole area will be spawn-proof as long as I'm within 128 blocks of them. Pretty cool. So with the mob switch done, the inside of the walls finished and the outside ready, I guess that means it's time. Alright, this is where it all comes together, I hope. Otherwise, I just spent 60 hours building a bowl. So here's the plan. I'm going to divide this circle into 8 sections. Each section will contain biomes of a similar type. The first is going to include the temperate biomes, and what better way to start it off than the plains biome. For that, I'm going to need some grass. Lots and lots of grass. With that collected, I'll start with the shoreline, mixing grass and sand to mix it up. I want the biomes to gradually get higher the closer they get to the wall. That way the mountains can reach the whole way to the top and cover up all the concrete. And if I just fill that in, I can start adding detail and our first mini structure. So the left half... And to get the tall birch trees, I grew birch saplings on pillars of birchwood, which was pretty big brain if you ask me. With those 6 biomes complete, it was time to do the mountains for this section, which were the meadow and stony peaks. And I was severely underprepared for how draining building custom mountains is. Like, the mountains for this section took 3 hours alone. On the Stony Peak side, I added a dungeon as our third structure for the section, using gilded blackstone as a fake spawner and added some ores around for variation. While I'm waiting for that grass to grow, I think it would be cool to add a waterfall going down the Stony Peaks and through the birch forest, forming our river biome. And I'll transition it into the frozen river biome in section 2. To finish off section 1, I added flowers to the meadow biome and then began working on our first ocean, which is the regular ocean biome. Quick disclaimer, some oceans have a deep variant, which is kind of hard to represent when you're making everything mini. So I'm considering the deepest point the deep ocean and the less deep parts the regular ocean. I'm also realizing now that I lied.